Greetings, nerds. This is CNN Nerd. I'm your host, Sarah Belmont, and with me, as always, is our Mr. Producer, Will Polk. How are you doing tonight, Will?
Doing very well, Sarah. For a Monday evening, how are you doing this evening?
I feel stuffed.
Stuffed?
Not just because I ate dinner, but because there was this day that I call Thursday.
Yeah.
And so much freaking stuff happened on Thursday that it just took over my entire weekend. And it was the most, see, this is what a Comic-Con is supposed to be like.
Yeah. This is like Comic-Con, DC fandom, and everything else, New York Comic-Con all rolled up into one.
It was an insane day, and there were a bunch of other things going on. I know the Game Awards was happening that same day, as well as Cyberpunk got dropped.
Yep.
And so there was just an overindulgence of riches. and it was really sad because was it the day before or that morning when Cobra Kai season 3 trailer dropped?
It was that same morning. If I recall, I'm pretty sure it was that same morning. I had to go back and look and see when I posted it on our page, but I want to say I did put that trailer Thursday morning because and it makes sense too why, of course, we had the WB news earlier, but it was a lot of news like front loaded in the week, and then of course when we talked about Disney Investor Day last week, whenever we recorded, I was like, oh yeah, it makes total sense now. Everybody wanted to get their stuff out because whenever this thing drops, whatever it was going to be, and I know we speculated on it, and we touched on this. We only barely scratched the surface from what we speculated on into what we actually got for Disney Investor Day.
Yeah, I knew there would be stuff. I did not expect this amount.
Yeah.
But to go back on to Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
I watched a good amount of the trailer, and then I got scared of kind of overindulging on it, of knowing too much, so I stopped. But it looks good. It looks good.
It does look good. I watched the entire trailer, and I haven't rewatched it since it moved from YouTube over to Netflix. But the one thing that this series, well, at least the first 2 seasons, is that in watching the trailer, I realized how damn good that show actually really is.
Yeah.
Because whenever I was seeing all the moments in the trailer, all the things that happened in the first 2 seasons came back to me forward of mind, and then of course seeing how things were going to be unfold this upcoming season, and of course Creed coming back and taking over Cobra Kai at the end of season 2, and of course the whole incident that happened at the school with Miguel, and yeah, it was just like, this is why obviously you and I watched it first run before it got picked up by Netflix, but it's one of those things, I guess, how we were saying, like with the Mandalorian, how folks felt with like Star Wars Rebels with Thrawn and stuff.
Right.
That's the feeling I had seeing how people were reacting to the season 3 trailer and Cobra Kai this year, because I felt like, oh yeah, I got on it on the front end, so I had that fresh thing, and now everybody else is learning more, have been exposed to this series, and they're getting to it now. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was a really good trailer. I thought it really set up things for what's going to happen. Yeah, it definitely did some foreshadowing as far as how the story is going to go, but you know how it is with trailers. They'll tease a little bit, but they didn't put everything out there.
Yeah, I like the buddy cop part.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that this show has to walk a very fine line to achieve, is these two characters who have this rivalry stemming all the way back to high school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they don't like each other, but the audience loves to watch them interact.
Yeah.
So you have to force those moments. And some of the best episodes of 1 and 2 is when they actually hang out and they get along. And then, events happen and circumstances change and they're enemies again.
Yep.
So I really like how maybe we're going to get more than just one episode this season of that, because they both were involved with what happened at the school, and overall the trailer, I think what it did very nicely is that it reminded you of everything that happened in that season 2 finale.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just set you up for, okay, and now here's probably the first 5 minutes of the first episode to show you where all of these kids are after that.
Right.
And this is what the story we're going to tell this season and how we're going to get there. Another interesting thing is kind of funny is also they do an in-review series, and they're right now going through all of the Karate Kid movies, and then they're going to do Cobra Kai seasons leading up to season 3. So watching them review those movies kind of was like a good pre-appetizer for watching the season 3 trailer and starting to get amped up for Cobra Kai again.
Yeah, definitely. And I, really, whenever I saw that it was coming in January, I was like, really? It did catch me a little bit off guard there, because I knew that they had been filming and I think they were able to get back into production and all, but I wasn't expecting it to be so soon. So
yeah,
so that
I was relieved.
Was that?
Sorry, I was immediately thought of you, and I said, "Oh, we'll be fine in January for Crump."
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. We definitely will have. We're already. It's like, okay, we got to start scheduling the weeks again instead of just one show and trying to fill in with news. But now we have a couple of shows to talk about, so it'll be really good.
A couple of shows, a couple of movies. Like we'll get there. It'll be a very surreal spring, much like these past several months have been very surreal. But it's been a pleasure to once a week still touch base with you.
Yeah.
And grab onto any content we could have found.
Yeah. I will say we have grown as a show, we've grown as podcasters. So with this pandemic, every like everyone else, we have adapted and adjusted and making hopefully entertaining and good stuff out of what we've been dealing with the last year. Keeping folks entertained.
The mantle,
Yeah.
Kind of like somebody else we know who's going to be picking up a mantle also in January. And Will, I have to say, I was so excited for Batwoman. I still am. Don't get me wrong, guys.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I am very excited for Batwoman. It's just really hard after the Disney collision that occurred. You remember, you have all of your favorite DC shows. And I know it's so strange to hear me say favorite and DC in the same sentence, but it's true. Yep, returning in January and February when all of this other stuff is also happening.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I know it's going to be quite the challenge, but the Batwoman trailer did drop this past week.
It did.
Yeah, what you think?
I honestly remember very few things.
There's only a few things that you need to remember from it, anyway.
Well, You don't have to be judgmental about it.
I'm not being judgmental. I'm being honest. I mean, you go ahead and I'll tell you what, at least what I think are the highlights of that trailer.
I see, now it feels like a test. This is last week when we were talking Mandalorian all over again. Although
now it's your turn.
I opened nice. That test. That was my test for you.
Yeah, exactly. Nice, see how I felt.
To me, I think part of the reason why I have such a mental block, besides everything else we just talked about, is that I don't need a trailer to get hyped for this season.
Okay.
DC fandom did that for me.
Gotcha.
Season 1 finale did that for me.
Mm-hmm.
And just the knowing the potential and previous discussions we've had about what they could end up doing this season, I don't need to get a trailer to get hyped. I just need a trailer to remind me that they're doing this and we will get something soon.
Yeah. Fair point. Fair point.
But what were your key highlights that I just blanked on?
For me, the two things that stood out to me, obviously, and it is the Batmobile and seeing Javicia suited up, not with the red wig, but with her own take on the costume. And just seeing that image coming, live there, and really and I completely agree with you that really didn't need a trailer to get excited for this upcoming season because I'm already there.
Right.
But it really, and as we were just talking about, it really brought it home that yes, we are actually going to be getting this show and new content and really getting back into this world of Gotham and learning about a new character and someone who I feel, as much as I did enjoy Ruby and Kate and Alice storyline and stuff, just the places they can go with this new character, Ryan Wilder, really, as we discussed before, I think this trailer really brought that home. Mm-hmm. As far as it's like, oh yeah, yes, Kate's off missing. Yeah, we saw the headline in the trailer, and she's not dead, but how the supporting characters are going to deal with that. How does Ryan get integrated with Lucius, with Luke Fox, and sorry, I was thinking about the other news from last week about future Batman with Lucius's other son becoming Batman. But yeah, again, it was a full week last week, y'all. But those were the kind of things and kind of vibes that really, for me, seeing that trailer just got me like, okay, January 17th, let's get here. Because we'll have WandaVision on the 15th. We got Batwoman the 17th. So it's just like, yeah, January is going to be great.
It's going to be a great month. And as much as I'm talking about being overwhelmed and almost wondering if it's going to, if it's just going to be exhausting, I think the show's premieres are all set up a little bit scattered. So there's some time to breathe and to take it all in. Yeah. But yeah, CW verse, we've gone a very long time without these shows, and honestly, Will, it kind of went quickly.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that January is just here, because I remember when they announced the return dates, and I'm like, it's so far away.
Yep. And now we're here. Yeah, we're here. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh man. And then the other headline that dominated for what feels like the last year, and it's becoming the best pun in the world. Just when you think that DC can claim something, because I remember a time when it was all of these announcements for everyone in Hollywood has a part in Suicide Squad Part 2.
Yeah. Yep.
Everyone.
Yeah.
All knowing they're going to get 5 minutes of screen time before they get killed.
Yep.
But Marvel is just like, no, DC, you can't have anything for your own. So we're gonna come and steal that, because now we're gonna make and spread all of these rumors and make all of these announcements about every person ever affiliated with a Spider-Man franchise.
Yeah.
Is somehow, some way going to show up in the next Spider-Man movie.
Yep.
And so now I have a lot of distrust, Will. I don't know what's real and what's not real. And it went to a place that's very personal for me. And so is Charlie Cox confirmed, or is that a rumor?
Everything that I have seen so far is still rumor, but I want to say the outlet that did break it has been batting pretty well lately on their rumors. Okay. So I think it may have been the same outfit that was able to scoop the set photos for Hawkeye.
Ooh, and that is really.
Yeah, I want to say it was that Murphy's Multiverse, I think is what they're called. Mm-hmm. And so I think it was them that it wasn't like Cosmic News or We Got It Covered. It wasn't one of, because those folks are just like total clickbait. But it was one of those sites that has been really solid on getting Marvel information correct. So I think it was that site that broke the news about Charlie Cox and possibly coming back as Daredevil. And then there was also, like you said, it was confirmed about Alfred Molina. I think the studio did confirm that Doc Ock is coming back.
Yeah,
and that was also in the trade. So that one definitely confirmed. Of course, we know Jamie Foxx as well.
All the villains that we quote loved.
Yep. Yeah, I think Andrew Garfield is also confirmed. But I think, and Kristen Dunst, I think also is confirmed. If I recall I think I actually saw that one in like Variety or Deadline or something like that. So I think that one's confirmed. But Tobey Maguire,
no.
I think no. As of right now, no. Emma Watson.
Emma Watson?
Not Emma Watson. I'm sorry. Emma Stone. Sorry, Emma Stone. She plays Mary Jane Watson. That's where I could.
No, she doesn't. No,
she plays Gwen Stacy. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. In the Andrew Garfield one. That's right. Yeah. See, there's so many multiverses. I'm getting tangled. We hadn't even gotten to like Disney Day yet.
So a part of me, very intrigued.
Yeah.
But there's this other fairly large part of me where I'm just sitting here, looking at all these pieces, putting them together and just thinking to myself, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this when a year or two ago, a little tiny film called Into the Spider-Verse came out?
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
Miles Morales.
Yep.
And now they're going to do the Peter Parker version of it?
Yeah, so there was a comic book storyline that did have a multiverse of Peter Parkers some time ago, and so there is that, even though this is Sony and not Marvel Studios I guess it's Marvel Studios in partnership with Sony, obviously they always take touches from the comics and make it to their own. So I think this Spider-Man 3 multiverse storyline, which was teased in Far From Home. Mm-hmm. So with Mysterio. So I think they're just bringing it forward, especially given that we do have Doctor Strange in this installment, given he's becoming the mentor for Peter. So at least Tom Holland's Peter. So I think this is just opening up again that doorway to the multiverse, and even if it's just 5 minutes with some of these characters, I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I hear you. I just, for whatever reason, if this movie was being put together before Into the Spider-Verse and was released before, I would be a lot more hyped. Yeah. I would be a lot more like, oh my God, I can't believe they are doing this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But it's my excitement, and I will be shocked. I will be shocked if they pull it off in a way that doesn't duplicate Into the Spider-Verse, but still almost parallels it, where you get all of those emotional feels and all of those callbacks and everything makes sense. Yeah. So it's just, Spider-Man is one of those characters we all love and has such an important role in this genre, and yet they it's like they can't get the third movie. I mean, the first franchise, the third movie was the worst one. It stopped, put a halt on the fourth one. Then in the second franchise, second one wasn't even good enough to warrant a third movie. Yeah. And so I'm very scared.
Yeah. Oh, I am too. It's again with bringing Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus, bringing Jamie Foxx's Electro back. I mean, it totally it means that they're doing the multiverse. I mean, there's just no way around it. But you're right. It does concern me that if done correctly, it will strengthen Tom Holland's Spider-Man moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I think that's sort of the idea with bringing these other Peters back to, because at this point, obviously, Toby, if he does come back, will be an older Peter Parker and can give lessons to younger Peter. Andrew Garfield's, not too much older than Tom Holland's Spider-Man at this point. But again, it's like Into the Spider-Verse. And again, you're right. I'm with you. I think if they had done this Into the Spider-Verse, it would be like, this is so dope. But now it's kind of like, we always say you can only pull this off one time, and It seems like they've done it already.
Yeah. But they also seem to be doing like a different version where it's a combination between Into the Spider-Verse and also Sinister Six.
Yeah, true.
But now that we've pleasantly wasted about 20 minutes talking about all of the haven't even really touched on any of these other announcements. I think you might want to move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Yeah.
And talk about Star Wars.
Okay.
Because during the stakeholder meeting that Disney held on Thursday, they just went all in on Star Wars. The Mandalorian, as everyone knows, has kind of reignited a love affair the public has with this franchise, and recent episodes and characters people just want to go all in on. So they kind of did a thing where they confirmed a lot of projects we already knew about, more confirmation, more affirmation on when those will get released, and then they also made new announcements. So we're getting Ahsoka. Mm-hmm. Did they mention a date?
I did not recall a date, but I know they just basically said they were announcing, what was it, 10 new Star Wars items at the investor meeting.
Right.
And that was one.
Right. Yeah. So that's one of them. Mm-hmm. Pretty much everyone has known that for weeks.
Yeah. No surprise there.
Obi-Wan was already announced, but again, just reaffirmed this is happening. Are they currently shooting?
I believe they're scheduled to start next month.
Okay. And then and the big thing that came out of this was the confirmation that not only is Ewan McGregor back, we already knew that, Hayden Christensen will also appear as Vader in this series.
Yes. 10 years. Yeah, so this series is based 10 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously obviously Christensen is back, and of course there's a lot of speculation whether or not is he Force Ghost, well, not Force Ghost, but like what we saw in the new trilogy with projections of each other, of persons like Rey and Ben and Kylo were able to do. Will that be the kind of interactions that Obi-Wan and Darth Vader will have? And also, the other thing I was thinking too, I know they announced Hayden's coming back, but also does this also mean James Earl Jones will be coming back as well if it is Vader in the Vader costume? And so there's that aspect of it as well. So if we hear word that James Earl Jones is recording lines, then we know we'll see obviously Vader as in the Vader's suit, but also maybe Christensen will project himself as his idealized version of himself to Obi-Wan. So it'll be curious to see how they pull that off. But yeah, I'm just happy for him to get a second chance to make up for the first trilogies.
Well, it's surprising that he even wanted to come back.
Yeah.
Given everything you hear about that set and also the backlash he's been getting. I mean, not everyone can pull a Natalie Portman.
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of thing. So
yeah.
But no, I'm very intrigued. Like, that announcement does make me a little bit more interested, oddly enough. Just because you really you want to know if they're going to make things right or if they're going to screw it up more. It's a show either way.
Yeah.
But you're like, interesting, and we'll see. There's some history there. So
yeah, and another thing I saw today, speaking of people returning, another site that's been batting pretty well, which we'll get to that shortly when we talk about Lando. Kessel Run Transmissions reported that Tamura Morrison will be returning. But will be also in the Obi-Wan show. Didn't say what character he will be playing, and obviously, given that the time frame here, he could easily be any one of 4 or 5 characters. But that was another thing that I saw today. Possible return of either Boba Fett or Commander Cody, or obviously it won't be Jango Fett because Jango was decapitated.
I thought I saw that Boba Fett was going to be in this.
I have to go back and look at. I didn't listen. I just read the report. I didn't see the. I didn't watch the actual clip from their YouTube channel, but I read it secondhand from comicbook.com that he was going to be in the series, but didn't say what character he was going to be playing. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw a headline that Boba Fett was going to be in the series, but we'll see.
Yeah.
They also made an announcement about Rangers of the New Republic.
Yep, set in the Mandalorian timeline. And the other thing that Kathleen Kennedy noted with this series, of course, both of them, Ashoka and Rangers, done by Favreau and Filoni. And they were going to, basically, it's going to they're all tied in, and it's going to culminate into one big event at the end of their respective runs. So, so that's the other aspect of the story. But beyond that, other than some just storylines that's happening in the current season of Mandalorian, with Cara Dune and some of the other people they've been bringing about that could be potential folks to show up in spinoffs, they really didn't share much more about that new show.
Wait, so sorry, backtrack.
Yeah.
Did you just say that this show is going to interconnect with Mandalorian and Ahsoka?
Yeah, it's it's in the same timeline. Yep.
Okay. Any other show?
No. Potentially. Well, since it's Favreau and Filoni, and obviously Filoni may pull back some more characters from Clone Wars. That maybe.
But that doesn't. That's
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But those. Yeah. That was Kathleen. Yeah, that was the big takeaway from that, because they were going to, both those two shows, the two Mandalorian spinoffs were set in the same time period, and that they would have some crossover, and at the end they would culminate in a grand event when these respective shows finish their runs.
And then they're doing Lando.
Yep. Yeah, and Lando was that, and again, that was we saw the rumor earlier this year about Donald Glover, and I think it was that Kessel Run folks that I was mentioning earlier who speculated who said there was a Lando show coming, but again, this wasn't much details given other than who was the I guess creative team behind it during the Disney investor meeting, and so it could go any way. I mean, it could be Donald, it could be it could be an animated thing, it could be live action. There was really not much details about what it is going to look like, except that it's going in pre-production.
Yeah, God forbid they make 10 announcements and give hour-long presentations for each one of them.
Yeah.
It's not like a different part of Disney had anything to say or announce. Yeah. Not even talking Marvel.
Yeah, hell, we talk about FX on Hulu. I mean, with Atlanta, which is, they did announce that was, the next season was going to be coming. So, yeah.
They also are going to produce a droid story, which is going to be an animated show, I believe.
Yeah.
So that is, and then in a surprise that I don't think anybody could have seen coming is they are going to create a Star Wars anime show called Visions.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming. You're right. That was.
No, I don't think no one knew that they would go there, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. There is such a market for anime, and there's also this great connection between the mythos that really sparked ideas about Star Wars and people George Lucas drew inspiration from, that I think can really get tapped into it. I personally am not a big anime person. My brother is a huge one. So if I tell him this, he's just gonna be like, holy shit, we're getting an anime Star Wars show. So I was very impressed when they saw that. About as impressed when they also announced that Patty Jenkins will be directing Rogue Squadron. And she had a beautiful video about it and how she's really drew inspiration from her father in this. And I just, first of all, they're not going to screw her out of the third act, because we all know, and we'll get to Wonder Woman. I'm going to have a lot of stuff to say next week. And the fact that, I remember when Rogue One was announced. Everyone, in comparison to everything else, everyone's like, we don't know what it's going to be. They're going to tell that story. Why? And a lot of people, I know that people are mixed about it, but I remember watching it and leaving the theater and just being like, damn,
Yeah.
was a really good movie.
Yep.
It tugged on my heartstrings. It was quick. It wasn't a part of a large saga or anything, but it was a story and it was fascinating. And so I just can only imagine that this movie is going to be either on par or surpass that one.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm with you on that. When you're right. There was the little announcement that she did, because I was watching it real time when I was able to catch a little bit of the investor meeting, and saw that trailer and stuff. And then when I saw it was Patty, and like you said, with what the inspiration for her wanting to direct a film like that, and this particular project is giving her the opportunity to do so. I was just like, okay, get me there. I think it's supposed to be around 2022, I believe this one may drop. So yeah, I was very excited about it. With Rogue Squadron, of course, obviously we know there's no Rogue One because of obviously what we saw at the movie that you noted. But Rogue Squadron, of course, is Luke Skywalker's and Wedge Antilles' squadron, and there was a comic book and novels based off of the Rogue Squadron, and so. And of course, people are like, well, how can you have Rogue Squadron without Luke? But I mean, Wedge was the commander of that group when Luke really went off into more of the Jedi route and other things during the Alliance, and told some great stories. I still have some of the comic books from Rogue Squadron, and so I'm excited to see what they do, what she will do with this particular story. And again, setting, as you noted, you can set stories even within that time period of the Skywalker saga, like a Rogue One. Now you can do a Rogue Squadron, and if you can tell these stories and it be amazing. So I think she has a lot of good source material that she can work from to really craft a wonderful story, and and put her vision to it as far as her direction.
Yeah, I think that movie, and also Andor, the series that will also be coming within the next few years, is they both have the ability to tap into a part of this universe that people are drawn to, and it's the military aspect. These are soldiers who, some are with the rebels and some are with the Empire and their allegiances. And the fact of the matter is they're at war. Their wars take place up in space. Our wars take place on land. But it's very relatable in terms of tragedy and conquest and sacrifice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's what really blew everyone away about Rogue One, is this is their version of Saving Private Ryan. This is their big moment. And and that's Andor, and Rogue Squadron will really be able to tie into that, which makes me excited, because that's something that I think is so much more relatable than some of the other aspects of this franchise. But that being said, I like how with these announcements, it's 10 freaking announcements.
Yeah, and also,
it doesn't feel too repetitious.
No.
Because we still have two more. There's also the Acolyte, which, from what I hear, is going to take place like way in the past.
Yeah, it's like 100 years before the Phantom Menace.
Yeah. And so I have a feeling that's going to deal a lot more with the Jedi, and that more of the mythos of that aspect, that I keep saying mythos, and I really need to stop.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, it is part of the lore. With this particular acolyte, I think it's one of the theories that's out there that it maybe will touch on with the Sith and Darth Plagueis, and which was one of the characters from the Legacy series, and I know also, obviously Disney was not going to do anything without having massive tie-ins to other things, but I think if I recall, there was I think either young adult fiction or some book tie-ins that they were doing for this time period as well. So again, there'll be other sources of media that they can build around this show that'll be on Disney Plus, and and also with the feature films, they're also announced that Taika Waititi was going to be doing his film in the next batch of feature films, even though they're clearly pushing all the efforts on Disney Plus at this point, but they haven't completely given up on the feature film realm either.
No. Disney made that very clear in the stakeholder that they're not going to be WB and taking a different approach.
Yep.
But it goes back into what we were talking about last week, where they can afford to take a different approach because of their content in comparison to HBO Max. It's still very different. Very different.
Exactly.
Not to say that one is better or one is worse. It's just you're paying for something different. They had a head start because Disney Plus and building these shows was in their plans last year. But with everything that happened this year, they kind of said, we're just gonna go all in over here, for a few years. We'll do films, but still, we're going to try to raise the bar TV-wise. The last Star Wars announcement is The Bad Batch, which I believe, again, is an animated TV show that really ties closely into Rebels.
Was it Rebels, or I think the last season 7 of Clone Wars?
I always get them confused.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. I mean, I remember I haven't made it to that point in the series yet in my educating myself on the Clone Wars series, but I think it's the bad. Obviously, the clones, as we were talking about Boba Fett earlier, which Jango had himself cloned, and this is the Bad Batch of some of those clones that apparently have a very big part in the last season of the animated show. So this is their spinoff, and I think it's coming. Is it this year? This upcoming year?
Well, I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so. I mean,
it's not on my radar.
Yeah, I can't remember either. I mean, it was just so much stuff that was announced, and we were just talking Disney. We were just talking Star Wars and Marvel. We hadn't even gotten. We're not even going to try to attempt to talk about the FX on Hulu and all the other Disney live action stuff that happened because we don't have 4 hours. So
we really don't. So no, we're not going to talk about everything that Disney announced because personally I don't care about everything that they announced. I care about a few things, but also time.
Exactly.
And there was Mandalorian. Touch on the Mandalorian season 2, episode 7.
Okay.
If you want to go there, I mean, why not? We're already in Star Wars anyway.
Section. Okay. All right.
And I hate to disappoint the listeners because no, I do not have the hilarious anecdotes about my viewing experience of The Believer. I watched the episode. I did take a few notes. Not many notes because it's a very short episode.
It was a very short episode.
It was all right. we got to see Pedro's face, which he's a beautiful man. Very, very proud of that. It was a very, in a way, it was disarmingly heartbreaking because it almost took it really took, I think, a lot of us off guard that they went there. But then retrospectively, that's the point of this episode, to just prove to you how far Mando is willing to go to get back Grogu, the child. And it just, and having that episode sit like about halfway, 3/4 of the way in, makes the ending not as jarring, because Mando is a father whose son was taken from him.
Yeah.
And that's where the threat to Moff Gideon comes from, where he's like, no, this guy thinks that his desire for power and everything is going to outweigh my love for this little guy, this little eggy. and it's not. And it's those emotional attachments that Star Wars tends to do really well, is where they put love at odds with power and what happens. And it's really in the duels, that's what's really being fought. Which one will win in the end?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Pedro, we always talk about whether it's him or if it's a body double, usually whenever he does have the mask on. Yeah, with the episode a few weeks ago when we did see Ashoka, and he thought that he was going to go get taken off and train with the Jedi, but and how he uses body language to convey those feelings of fatherhood and bonding with Grogu. But this particular episode, we get the maskless Din Djarin, and it was, Pedro played that so well, that scene with this, like because the struggle of like, okay, I've got this code that I always have to follow, as far as keeping my hood, my helmet on, but then also whenever he is like looking at the screen and knowing that he's going to have to scan the Imperial network, which, by the way, they need to like up their security protocols, because really plot hole. But anyway, that being said, but the way he just conveyed that, the look on his face and really building up the tension in that scene was really well conveyed. And that was because really that was really the highlight in the real emotional core of the episode, as you noted, that he really did, and it really did, dealt with that struggle, and also it pulled in some of the conversations that he and Mayfield had when they were driving the transport, especially about the choice between the rebellion and the Empire, and who, basically they are just basically the same people, because they are invaders on these people's land, whatever, in this particular planet, that matter which side you're on. But then whenever you carry it forward, and they're sitting there with Hess, the Imperial officer, Joe Chill, that speech that Mayfield has about the Empire and the Rebellion being one and the same, and then whenever he is like trying to bail Mando out of this conversation because old Brown Eyes here just can't like bluff his way through, because he's just feeling so uncomfortable because of what's transpired. The moral relativism that he was trying to convey earlier is completely like, he's like, he does make a choice, because the incident that he brings up is one that is with the Operation Cinder, was basically the Emperor was burn it all down because the Empires cannot survive without me being around, and that was done after Return of the Jedi. So that was one of those things where, again, the faceless, normally the faceless Mandalorian, now he does have a face, and dealing with all these issues of, breaking the code and trying to get Baby Yoda back, and dealing with Mayfield, and Mayfield like realizing that, hey, the Empire really is evil. There's no, you can't do this false equivalency between the rebellion and the Empire. The Empire really is a bad organization, and Mayfield making that choice whenever he was in that mess hall, which was those were the good emotional beats about this episode that I thought really made it. It wasn't like the best episode of the season, but it definitely had its moments that were definitely memorable.
Yeah, I agree. I think retrospectively, there are those key moments, especially when there's the dialogue about the gray area between the rebellion and the Empire, the New Republic and the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And the effect it has on people of these different planets. One thing I will also add is, how many planets do we visit where Mando says there's nothing on that planet?
Exactly.
He says that about every single one. And then that just leads me to thinking, Mando, you act like you go to these very highly populated planets and we've never seen you go.
Exactly.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? What are you doing? I guess as a bounty hunter, I guess he's hanging out too long. He's been hanging out in the Outer Rim too long, I guess. I don't know.
I want an episode where they go, we have to go here, and he says, "Oh, I've been there."
Yeah.
I don't want to go there. It's too complicated.
It's too popular. We can't go to Coruscant. There's too many people there.
Too much there. Oh man, yeah, that's our very quick rehash of The Mandalorian, because we do have massive Marvel news to get to, and it's what I personally have just been waiting for. Kick it off. Feige announced and gave us a second trailer for WandaVision, which we will be getting on January 15th. The second trailer, it just furthers my excitement.
Mm-hmm.
This really is the kickoff of this next phase. So maybe all of the rearrangements of what was previously planned is actually going to work in its favor. For all I know, I want to see this Marvel version of Pleasantville come to life.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I am, whenever the series was first announced, I was kind of like, I'm not so sure about this, but I am looking forward to this one now too. I think the score that they had in the trailer, Daydream Believer, and just kind of twisting it a little bit, and just the visuals and the story, and clearly the getting into, I am thinking more and more now that this vision isn't still indeed dead, and this is Wanda going mad, and her getting right will happen through the tie-ins to Doctor Strange 2 and other stories in this interconnected universe.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then only 2 months later, we will get Falcon Winter Soldier in March. And we got the first full trailer of it. And I have to say, and it was just because in comparison to some of the other trailers, this was more of a teaser, because you can get as much story or visual spectacular, even though there is a very long, very long Falcon sequence where you just think to yourself, is that where all the money went? That looked really good. Very cinematic. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
But the structure, the trailer itself, the structure of it, they start off the shield, the legacy of Captain America. It's being passed on. All signs point to Sam, and but then there's a lot of espionage going on. There's a lot of havoc, and we don't really understand what mission they are on. And what really, which I thought we'd get more of in the trailer, if I'm being honest, but we only got really one or two scenes where it was just them being buddy the couple.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That did strike me with the trailer, because I was expecting more of that buddy cop kind of, but that rapport that was developed in the films. But they really held back on that in the trailer, because you're right. It was a serviceable trailer. It didn't blow me away, but I think it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this series. I mean, the Falcon and Winter Soldier in the cinematic universe. I mean, I like those characters. They're in some ways for me like a lot like Hawkeye and Black Widow, where I think the Winter Soldier line really plays well off of Captain America, Steve Rogers. So it'll be interesting to me to see how they play it now with Sam and Bucky. So and I think they did hold back on some of those aspects of the buddy rapport that we saw in the films.
Yeah, because at this point, they're best friends in real life.
Yeah.
You see them always get interviewed together.
Yeah.
They're always, they have nicknames for each other and everything. It's adorable. Yeah. So adorable. But again, it's really hard when they also drop a trailer for Loki.
Yeah.
Which I had very low expectations. I got it confused with What If. So in my mind, it was going to be animated. And then I watched the trailer and I'm like, that was not animated.
Nope.
And we're going to get it in May. And this trailer is, it's just a fabulous fucking trailer.
Yep.
There are images that stick in your mind, a clear image of Black Widow and wherever she is now. It makes you want to go back and rewatch Endgame, which is a beautiful thing. And it is like, I kept thinking about, and now I'm blanking on the name of that show, that mini series that Sam Esmail did, that we were talking about with Julia Roberts.
Homecoming.
Homecoming. There's a weird mix. There's some definite Homecoming vibes because Loki's finds himself in this place, the TVA, I believe, with Owen Wilson. Clearly something else is going on. They need to utilize him for some reason. And so he gets put on this kind of covert secret mission. And this really blew my mind.
Yeah. I was like you. I did not know what to anticipate for a Loki series. But this trailer just, wow. I didn't know Owen Wilson was in it. For one, I somehow missed that. For one, but two, just there's so many. So apparently it's going to be an epic, like a crime thriller. This I think is how Feige described it during the investor meeting, and so of course you had those beats from Endgame. You had the DB Cooper kind of moment where he is like where Loki is on the plane. Apparently Heimdall is going to be back because in in that moment, he mentions that, and also mentions his brother. I mean, he mentions Thor. So, I mean, will we get a Chris Hemsworth cameo at some point? I mean, it's so like many places where this story can go, and I really don't know much. I mean, don't know hardly anything about this TVA, and I think I don't think hadn't seen many fans on the net mention haven't provided any details about it either. But it's just it just shows this just shows the brilliance of Kevin Feige and the vision and the big plan that you have for overseeing a interconnected cinematic and now streaming universe.
Mm-hmm.
And utilizing these characters literally, like, I mean, we're going to get Marvel. My only concern is we'll get Marvel fatigue because we're just getting this content one after another. I mean, this is going to be also during the same month that Black Widow comes out in the theater, maybe also premium on Disney Plus too, and depending on where things are with the pandemic. And so will we get too much of a good thing at one point?
Well, we're just getting out of a drought, a Marvel drought. And so they're turning on the faucet and we're going to get just a fire hose.
Yeah.
Of course. I don't know. You're probably right. But I like it.
I like it too. I mean, I'm just worried at some point. I mean,
more excited.
Yeah, I mean, will we end up with the Thor Dark World? With all these things coming out?
I personally feel like I've already seen Black Widow, just because of how many times they were airing the trailer right up until they delayed it.
Yeah.
And that trailer is very long and pretty extensive, and so mash it up with a few others, and I think we got a movie in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The first half of 2021 looks marvelous.
It does.
So I'm so good.
I see what you do with there. I saw what you did there, and I love it.
And it's just, we just get a little bit more, they change it up on us where we get an onslaught of all of these shows that we've been promised for more than a year. And then we have a summer, we get a little treat with What If,
that one was one when it was announced at Comic-Con, I guess in 2019, I was excited for it. But then when I saw the trailer this week and with the investor last week, that's of the things that are, as far as like pecking order of things coming to come, that's definitely in my top 5 as far as the upcoming Marvel slate.
It's not in my top 5. I don't even know if I'll watch it. But what did was like a little emotional punch is when you hear Chadwick's voice.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
yeah.
Still have T'Challa, which was also announced that they are preparing Black Panther 2 for July 22, and they will not be recasting Chadwick in that movie. So the mantle will be picked up by someone else.
Right. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it will be picked up by someone else. I guess Feige said that they will be exploring the world of Wakanda through the eyes of the other characters. So, obviously that's a smart thing to do. I think just one, honoring Chadwick's legacy, but also just not putting any kind of impossible burden on any actor who will be recast to play T'Challa.
Yeah. It's way too soon. Way too soon for that. We'll get it eventually, but not right now. And we don't need it. We got all of these other characters, including new characters like Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, which surprisingly is one of the few. They did not get any cases or anything. They were on lockdown and they got it done.
They did.
And which means we just get it early and we get it in July of next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that they had finished production. Just, I think about maybe a week, 2 weeks ago, and yeah, they did get that film done, and this is one I don't know that much about, so I'm very curious, and it'll be one of those situations where I'll be going in with a blank slate, and I'm looking forward to. Actually, it's nice to be able to do that with this well established universe.
Well, it's good because in the first half of next year we get a lot of the familiars.
Yeah,
we get a lot of the old guard and their stories, and then we get Shang-Chi, we get What If, and then we get the Eternals in November.
Mm-hmm.
Which is for me another part where I'm like, I know Angelina's in there.
Yeah, Angelina's in it. Salma Hayek. They got a lot of
other people.
Got a lot of people. It's a huge cast. But yeah, it's definitely another. It's another blind spot for me for as far as my Marvel comic knowledge. So again, that's I won't be able to be like a lot of fans and quibble about things because I'll just be like, I'm just going to sit here and have a popcorn and enjoy this thing.
Yeah. Which is what we need. This is a very transitional moment for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been delayed a year. And so they really do need to, and they've already done this over the past decade, but it's about expanding the universe while allowing everyone to stay connected, because we're attached to
Mm-hmm.
characters we've known for more than a decade. And right on that note, also later in 2021, we will be getting Hawkeye on Disney Plus, and Haley Steinfeld has been confirmed because the set photos weren't enough.
Yeah, exactly.
This weren't enough. Which leads us right into 2022. March, we will be getting Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yep.
Multiverse of Madness. Rachel McAdams will be there. So will Elizabeth Olsen because she's gonna be bad.
Yeah. Yep. And of course, Spider-Man 3 ties into it, and WandaVision has been confirmed to tie into it. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, this is I guess, as far as Doctor Strange, it wasn't one of my favorite films in the MCU, but I will say that the character grew through Infinity War and Endgame. The character grew on me from those two films. So now I'm kind of like, maybe I should go back and revisit Doctor Strange, and maybe I'll have a better appreciation for it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I still don't feel like I've even seen Doctor Strange. I put it on one night. I don't feel like I can call that I watched it.
Yeah.
But I did create a connection with him during Infinity War and Endgame. Mainly Infinity War because he was like really not in Endgame, but he really wasn't.
Yeah.
So we're getting that in March. We already talked about Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2, November of 2022, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special.
Yeah, well, don't sit past Captain Marvel too fast because there is another show that will be tied into it as well, Miss Marvel.
Right.
That actually is also coming out later this year because we did see set photos. We did see set photos of it being filmed. Yeah. And it's also very notable for just representation, not only on the screen, but also, Miss Marvel was the first Pakistani Muslim lead character for the comic book. And so, and of course, as far as, on the creative side, as far as on the TV show, they're also is very, very broad and very diverse as well. But also, back in universe, again, this is definitely I think this show's, is also tied into, Captain Marvel 2, and I think also with some of the other upcoming films as well, maybe Doctor Strange also. So, I mean, there's a lot of, again, it's just this interconnected universe that, it's almost like you almost have to watch these properties in order to be completely spun up on what's going on with these stories, with these characters.
Yeah, definitely. Kamala Khan. Yep.
Yep.
We will be getting her in
Yep.
late 2021. And then we will be getting a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special that will be filmed while they are filming the third and a half, third Guardians of the Galaxy.
33 and a third.
I feel like Infinity War was pretty much Guardians of Galaxy Part 3.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like maybe Guardians of the Galaxy 2.5. Yeah.
Thor 4 just continues to expand its cast as Christian Bale is set to play Gormingot, the God Butcher.
Yep.
God Butcher.
Yep.
That's never a bad casting call. Get Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep.
He can't screw that up, right?
Can't screw up at all. This, and plus, hopefully we'll get some great outtakes of him, like, melting down on set too.
Yeah. Tatiana Maslach, blah blah. We've been going this too long.
Her.
Tatiana was confirmed for She-Hulk.
Yep, and also Tim Roth and Mark Ruffalo will also be in it. And I guess they're tying back to, I guess Tim Roth's character was the Abomination in the first Incredible Hulk film.
Yep.
So that I think everybody forgets is part of the MCU, but it is. Not the one with Eric Bana, but the one with Edward Norton.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so so I guess it's described as a comedy drama. So
you say that with like such trepidation.
Well, it's one of those things that I think that's how it was described. But until we see it, we will, we just sort of go with what they said during the investor meeting. So,
well, what was not said during the investor meeting, but has been speculated upon, is that She-Hulk could also be another way where we get Daredevil back.
True.
And maybe Jessica Jones. But anyway, I'd be very interested if they do that, because I love myself some Charlie Cox. And in other news, Dominique Thorne is set to star in Ironheart.
Yeah.
Which again, as they're making all these announcements, the shows and the movies are so interconnected.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
By the fifth time, Feige feels the need to say, and just so you know, not only is this a new show and a new character, but you will have seen them in some of our other films before. So I'm just like, oh, okay. All right. Overwhelmed.
Yeah. This is another groundbreaking character, though. I guess she's basically is in the Iron Man universe, and she creates suits of armor too, and so again, it's like I said, it's getting overwhelming the sheer number of characters that they are creating, but to keep up with. So
yeah, it's just, I mean, they also got Armor Wars with Don Cheadle.
Mm-hmm.
They announced Secret Invasion with Samuel L. Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn and Talos, which I did pop in Captain Marvel a few nights ago. Yeah. I didn't watch I watched a good half of it, but don't sleep on Talos. He's a great little character. Great little character. So cute. We got an I Am Groot series. Don't forget, Moon Knight is coming. Blade is coming. And also, the rumors are true. Fantastic Four is for sure coming.
Yep.
Please let it be John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. Please let it be.
Please. And another interesting thing too, with going back to Moon Knight real fast, because a few weeks ago it was stated that Oscar Isaac was going to be cast as the lead in Moon Knight, but they didn't say anything about that during the event this past week.
I know, I was shocked.
Yeah, so I wonder if they're still trying to work out the terms of his appearance in the show.
Completely. Do not forget, this is the same studio who did not announce Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange during the Civil War press conference because they were still in negotiations, even though everyone knew he was cast.
Yeah.
Same thing with Tatiana. Everyone knew that, but apparently the contracts weren't signed. So I'm sure that's all it was. And also, they should do these things every few months.
They should. Yeah, they totally should. They totally should, because it's just like, basically now all the Warner Brothers thing is just like, the story is not about all these great films coming out. It's about how they pissed off Christopher Nolan and Villeneuve and everyone else. It's not about the content anymore. It's about how Warner Brothers fucked up. And then here we are, everything about the Disney investor is like, oh, this awesome content is coming this way, and across so many various platforms from Disney.
Yeah, WB, I don't know if they fucked up. They made a choice. They're sticking with their choice, and they pissed off a lot of creators.
Yeah. Disney, I don't think they did. Yeah.
What do you mean?
I said I don't think they fucked up. I'm just saying that's the conversations.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the conversations that are being had now.
Right. By the creators, which makes sense. If I had produced a movie that they ended up dropping when it should have been released in theaters, I would be pissed off as well. But tis the world we live in right now.
Exactly.
And Disney, meanwhile, is just like, oh, I see what move you made.
Yep.
Play chess with these other people, though. So bye. Again, they didn't give us what we wanted. We all talked about how we would want them to do what WB did. They didn't do that. However, there was an emphasis on Disney Plus. Yeah. So no, we may not be getting these movies on Disney Plus, but the TV shows, which from what they showed, the production value is pretty close to a full Marvel movie.
Yeah.
You're gonna have plenty of those on Disney Plus. No paywall.
Yeah. No paywall. Exactly. And also, I still think that Disney's they will be flexible enough if they if things are at a place that they could do a split thing like they did with Mulan. I know they did announce this with the investor meeting that the Reina, the upcoming film with Kelly Marie Tran, is going to be a dual release in theaters and on Disney Plus Premium like they did Mulan. So they haven't completely shut the door on that, but I think, but at least with the Marvel tentpole franchise, it was. Now I'm back in the camp of it would surprise me if they put Black Widow on streaming and theaters in May. I think they will just roll with it and in theaters and unless things are just really on fire and they just can't. And then of course there were just a real quick a few other little notes before we finish up. I saw they also announced the Willow as far as update from Lucasfilm, and of course the biggie, Indiana Jones, another one with Harrison Ford, I guess, which will be starting filming. I think I saw they'll be starting filming this spring for that film, and then on FX for a lot of genre fans, there's going to be an Alien series. I guess Noah Hawley will be behind that with Ridley Scott. So, I mean, it's just. I mean, we could go on and on with this, all the announcements that they dropped during the investor meeting.
I will mute my mic so quick if you go
on about. I am not. Trust me, I am not. I am not going to do so. Those are just some of the other notable ones that I noted. And then also just one last thing. I guess Disney Plus is going up $1, but
scandalous.
Yeah, whole $1.
Right away.
All this great content, over 100 titles released. I mean, hell, I could, I'll buy that for $1.
It's just, Thursday was a big day.
Yeah,
I am so excited for 2021, and as early as January.
Yes.
So close.
Yes, it's so close. It's so close. So looking forward to talking about it all with you next year.
And trust me, people who are listening, we will try to talk about just as much as we can, but we will be picking our favorites. Yep. Lines will be drawn.
Yep.
Some shows not going to give as much spotlight and attention to.
Yeah. Well, if you've learned anything about us over the last year, we're flexible, so we will make
We're very flexible.
Yeah.
But when people have okay episodes, and then we jump on the ones that have really good episodes. So.
Yep.
And they didn't talk at all if these series. I mean, we can only assume they're week to week because Mandalorian is, but we don't know, right?
They're all going to be like spread out. They're not going to do the Netflix model.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Great for us for content, but also bad that you can't like blow through it in a weekend or a weekend.
Well, I'm just thinking about how many different shows will be playing at once, that we want to cover. Anyway, more on that. That's a 2021 problem, not a bad problem we had this year.
Exactly.
Will, why don't you tell all of our listeners where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me at Will M. Polk, WILLMPOLK.
And you can find me at SJ Belmont, SJBELMONT. Please follow our crew on Twitter at CNN Nerd. Friend us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, but most importantly, rate, subscribe, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Good night, Geek Out. You're welcome.